Mindfulness can be an intimidating skill to learn, and it's unlike anything else that we've naturally learned. In fact, we've most likely learned from our social environment to avoid negative thoughts, negative feelings, and painful sensations. So we avoid things like anxiety, depression, grief, pain, and discomfort. Mindfulness, though, is taking the observer position of our own experience, meaning all of our experience, the positive and the negative. In many ways, mindfulness expands our lens of taking in our own experience. It notices thoughts, emotions, bodily sensations, images, sensory information, and memories. Yet instead of zooming in on any one thought, like, don't forget to take the meat out of the freezer for hamburgers tonight, which is an actual thought that I had earlier before starting this, but instead of taking action on that thought, we simply allow it to exist. We acknowledge it, and then we move to the next moment that's before us. ACT teaches us conceptual ways of interacting with our own experiences and how to accept rather than to change them. And ACT has a lot to teach on how to improve our lives by moving toward our values, even in the presence of suffering. Yet, ACT has limitations. You see, the best teacher is direct experience. For those who learn to ride a bike, think about how you learned to ride a bike. How did you master this new skill? Well, part of it was instruction from a parent or sibling or friend. And another part was demonstration. You watched people ride their bike and you kind of tried to figure out how it all worked. But it wasn't until you sat on a bike and put your feet on the pedal and then was taking off that you really learned what it means to ride a bike. And again, for some, they learned quickly, like right away. And others took a few falls and multiple attempts before they learned to ride a bike. Direct experience helps us to learn and create muscle memory so that years in between riding a bike, you can get on a bike and take off without anyone instructing you or demonstrating how to do it. Mindfulness is a skill that is learned via direct experience, and it is generative, meaning that it leads to other important learning via direct experience. And like learning to swim, we only figure out how to swim once we've committed to jumping into the water. Now, maybe you've stuck your toe into mindfulness, so to speak. You've read a book about it. You've listened to a lecture. You've watched a video, or you've talked about it in class. But that's conceptual knowledge, which has limits. You'll be able to describe mindfulness to others, but until you've jumped in experientially, you'll miss out on knowing by way of your own experience what happens when we take the observer position. Now, some things in life are taught, but other things are caught. Mindfulness is one of those things that is caught. Once you do it, you learn how to do it by your own experience. Now, with that said, let's prepare to jump in and learn by our own experience as we do this centering exercise. Acceptance and commitment therapy is all about a willingness to embrace our own experience. Now, for a lot of people, this is a shift in what they naturally try to do, which is to avoid their experience or to try to get out and escape their experience. And so I want to ask you if you're willing to embrace your experience through this centering exercise. Now, I'm going to be reading a script. This is a script that's found in the book, ACT on Anxiety. And this is something I'll put in the resource below in the description. So I want you to go ahead and get in a comfortable position in your chair. For this activity, you can keep your eyes open and maybe focus on one place in the room, or you can close your eyes, whichever you feel is more appropriate for you. Go ahead and get in a comfortable position in your chair. Sit upright with your feet flat on the floor, your arms and legs uncrossed, and your hands resting in your lap. Allow your eyes to close gently. Take a couple of gentle breaths in and out. In and out. Notice the sound and feel your own breath as you breathe in and out. Now turn your attention to being inside this room. Notice any sounds that may occur inside the room and outside the room. Notice how you're sitting in your chair. Focus on the place where your body touches the chair. Next, notice the places where your body touches itself. Notice the spot where your hands touch your legs. How do your feet feel in the position that they're in? What sensations can you notice in the rest of your body? If you feel any sensations in your body, just notice and acknowledge their presence. And notice how they may, by themselves, change or shift from moment to moment. Do not try to change them. Now let yourself be in this room. See if you can feel the investment of you and I in this room, what we are here for. If you are thinking, this sounds weird, just notice that and come back to the sense of integrity in this room. Be aware of the value that you and I are serving by being here. See if you can allow yourself to be present with what you're afraid of. Notice any doubts, reservations, fears, and worries. See if you can just notice them, acknowledge their presence, and make some space for them. You don't need to make them go away or work on them. Now see if, for just a moment, you can be present with your values and commitments. Why are you here? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Then, when you're ready, let go of those thoughts and gradually widen your attention to take in the sounds around you. And slowly open your eyes with the intention to bring this awareness to the present moment and the rest of the day. Now, in this section, I'd like to debrief what happened in this exercise, as well as how it works in therapy, as well as in our life. Now, I'd love to be able to have an interaction with you. If you were in my office, I may ask you questions that kind of, about your experience of this, like what went on for you. Now, I can report different things that clients have said when they've done exercises like this. Most of them will point out things that they heard that they didn't hear when they came into the office. Maybe they heard, the fan going on, or maybe they heard outside the room. Maybe they heard, cars or traffic, police car going by, or maybe even in their body, a pressure in their chest. Maybe they felt a sense of sadness that was kind of missing before they did this exercise. So there could be a variety of reports and experiences. And maybe for you, nothing really transformational happened. It was just another opportunity for you to slow down and kind of catch your breath, so to speak. Centering exercises can be useful, depending on what your needs are and how you use them. The biggest thing about this is to find another way to interact with our experiences. I think for so many people, there's an agenda to control their experience. They may not say it like that, but the way that they describe their problems of anxiety or depression, uh, they describe it in ways that they don't want it. Okay. They want to try to get it out of their life. And in fact, they may come to a therapist and say, hey, help me with my depression. I don't want to feel this way anymore. And they're almost looking to the therapist as the person who's going to fix them. And that's not the purpose of therapy. The purpose of therapy is to teach you to be your own therapist and to help you to put to practice the things that you're learning through your experience. And to look at your experience and say, has what I've been doing worked? Has all my attempts to control my experience worked? And for a lot of clients, as they review what they've tried, and you could go through the list, I've tried staying at home and avoiding things that make me anxious. But that's cost me some friendships. That's cost me some of the things I value. Some people report, I lay in bed, I sleep because I'm so tired, I have no energy. But that doesn't get them more energy. That doesn't get them the rest that they're after. It seems like the experiences that they don't want are getting in the way of the life that they value. Now, as a therapist, I could just tell them that, but they're not going to get it. It's almost like there's a teenager part of us that wants to think that we know best and we're just going to do it our way. And then we find out later in adult life that maybe our parents had something wise to say. Now, I don't mean to say that condescendingly. We've all been teenagers. So I say that as somebody who has made mistakes. And I don't come at this as if I know everything. But I do come at this knowing how it works, by way of experience. And so if you did the centering activity, I want you to kind of reflect back and say, okay, this was different. This was new. Instead of trying to push away those things and trying to control my experience, I just let my experience unfold. And even if it was a short period of time, 3 to 5 minutes, that can be an eye opener for us to say, wow, there's a lot going on that's kind of outside of my awareness. And so a centering activity like this can help people get in touch with their experience. And it's not just a one-time thing, right? It's something you want to do again. I used the examples of a bike or learning to ride a bike and learning to swim. You don't do it just once. You do it because you want to learn this skill, because you want to go somewhere on a bike. You want to enjoy being on your bike, maybe with friends, and you want to enjoy the rush of going faster than your legs can take you. And swimming, you want to go out, you want to swim, you want to have fun in the water. And so mindfulness is kind of the same, in that it's a skill, something you should be eager to try out again and want to try out. So I did the standard version because this is something that just works to get people centered and then ready for therapy. But if I was doing this with a client that had specific diagnosis or I guess control strategies, I might incorporate that into the centering activity and actually allow them to get in touch with that emotion or that thought. Okay, and I may actually bring that into the session. Now, the reason why I would do that is because in therapy, in therapy, we're learning things to apply in life. Therapy is not life. Okay, therapy is where you work on an issue and then you go back into your life. And so we want the things that we learn in therapy to translate to better living or a more improved life. And so doing this in session is teaching a skill that can then be utilized in their life. And so if they can do this with a therapist in the safety of an office room or wherever they're meeting, then they can learn to do this on their own by getting in touch with their own experience. Now, how do you do this in your life? Do you need a therapist or do you need somebody else to do this with you? In most cases, no. Most of the mindfulness stuff that I do is just real practical, wherever I'm at, whenever I need it. So sometimes I may get an alert on my watch that tells me I'm very stressed. And so when that happens, it's usually I'm doing couples therapy because their problems become my problem, and I get kind of wrapped into that. And so my alert will say, "Hey, you're really stressed." And so what I will do is I will put my feet firmly on the ground. I'll bring my attention to my feet. I'll kind of wiggle my toes, and just to get grounded and in touch with my experience. What I'll also kind of do is to notice the thoughts. I'm having the thought that I don't want to be here. I'm having the thought that these guys have a lot of problems that I can't solve, and so forth. And so I'll bring mindfulness into uh, the session if I need it. They're not going to be aware of it, but I will. I'll be aware of it. Other times, maybe in my car, in between uh, families that I'm visiting, and I will just put my feet into the floorboard and begin to get grounded, or I may put my hands on the steering wheel, and I'll just bring my attention to how that feels, sensations. I'll listen to the car noise, uh, or I'll just kind of look around me at things that I haven't noticed in the car. So there's a lot of ways that you can utilize this. It's not so much how you're using it, it's that you're using it. And so as you begin to use it, it's kind of like muscle memory, where when you need it, like you need to ride a bike, no matter how much time has gone in between, once you've learned it, you got it, and now you can do it. So I hope that this video has helped you to kind of get an idea experientially what a centering exercise looks like. And also, if you're a therapist or if you're somebody that is using these skills with others, you can kind of get an idea of how this feels and how this looks by watching me do this. And my hope is that this will translate to your life, that it'll improve your life and it'll improve the lives that those that you serve. So again, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. And I'd love to interact with you in the comments below. So if you had something from the centering exercise, or if you got a question, I would love to know that. Now remember, your journey towards a more mindful life begins with a single click.